and welcome to episode 315 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, the place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. I'm Vince Hunt, creator of Murder Road, and joining me as always is the creator of the webcomic Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
And the man who, every week before we start this show, will end up talking about something that will probably put me off, and I think it did this week. It's Tony Esmond.
I've just got home.
What?
Where you been, T?
Well, I was coming home, but I've just got here.
Fuck off. Welcome to the show, everyone.
We're not even watching it. We're not
a current affairs show. People will listen to this about 2 months afterwards, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, but it was meant to be a subtle little joke, but you had to ask me to explain it. Oops, sorry.
Do you know what I really appreciate, Tony? The apology.
Thank you.
The apology. This week is full of momentous occasions, such as that one, and we also have a fantastic chat.
Yes,
with a writer coming up that is brilliant. We just finished having the chat, and it goes in all directions. It's fascinating. You will love it. And we'll tell you more about that in a sec. But we should probably talk about
the sponsor.
What am I?
Yes.
Yeah. Who's our sponsor again?
Comic House.
Yes, Comic House, our lovely sponsor, who obviously know that I'm acting right now, darlings, but they are a comic marketplace with a difference. They love indie comics as much as we do. Imagine that. Imagine a world where everyone loves indie comics as much as we all do.
Much as the three of us do.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to use that phrase again, creaming your pants, because it doesn't get used enough.
You say it again, but no one heard it the first time you said it. It's going to have to go in the bloody after show, isn't it? So it makes sense. Continuity, people. That's what we've never had.
That's
on the
a
show.
call forward to the end of the show after the credits.
There you go. Stay tuned for the after credits moment. There's something to look forward to, isn't it?
Anyway,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, Pete and the Comic House gang probably look forward to their sponsorship ad every week, and then after they've heard it, they're like, "Why do we sponsor this show again?"
Yeah. Who agreed to this?
Yeah, but we love them. Because if you go to comichouse.com, there's a huge selection of titles on their database. If you self-publish, you can list your book on there and start selling your comics from the site itself. They also have a featured section on their site, and plus they have their own app. Legit, it's too legit to quit. Oh, I can't believe I'm talking like that. It must be late on a Sunday night. But basically, it's like Netflix for comics. For only £3 a month, you get access to an enormous library of digital indie comics that's being added to all the time. In fact, what's on there at the moment, Dan?
We've got Spaced Out issue 0 to issue 4.
Oh, but
so 5 issues of Spaced Out available from Tidal Wave Productions. We've got Grey from Daniel Faulkner. That's a UK indie comic, I believe. We've got Bloop and the Pigeon Pandemic, issue 1, Mars on Lockdown. That looks like a kids comic. Looks good, that one. And we've got, this one sounds great. Roger Corman presents the Death Sport Games, issue 1 to 4.
Well, I'm going to read that.
Yeah, that looks good.
I like those crazy films.
The artwork looks great. Yeah, loving all about that. Let's read the story synopsis.
Please do.
Introducing Desperate Games from Ain't It Cool News is Miller Mark L. In the near future, 3 teens find themselves thrust into a twisted version of the Olympic Games against a horde of vicious sportsmen and bloodthirsty crowd of spectators. David, Carrie, and Dean play a game where winning and losing are matters of life and death.
I mean, so you read that very well, and I especially liked the way you said thrust.
Thrust, yeah.
Thrust.
I could tell thrust. Bloody hell, Dan.
Yeah.
It made me a tingle in my fanny.
Which is completely different for our US listeners than it is from the UK. But you get... you can read all of those
today.
Yeah, it's bad. Or brilliantly, depending on the sort of quality content you expect from this show. But if you want quality content, then just for £3 a month, you get access to all of that on.
Nicely pulled round.
Thank you. Comichouse.com. Plus, there's a 14-day free trial. There's also a family-friendly sort of, if you want all ages comics for your kids, you can also sort of change your settings so they're only in the kids' comics and not the sort of filth and grot that we create.
Yeah.
Although you should read it, please. And if you want to read it, you can just go to comichouse.com. There you go. There you go.
You brought that link home, Vince.
I did.
Yeah.
Shut up. I'm ice skating uphill with you bastards.
What?
We are in a good mood. We are in a good mood.
We had a great
this
interview,
week.
didn't we?
Yeah. This has been. We spoke to Alec Worley, who is a writer that you may know about from his work in like Warhammer, 2000 AD. One of my favourite books, the Realm of the Damned series. Whoop, whoop.
Man, I've got to get into
He
that.
did some
I've yet
turtle
to read
stuff,
that.
which we didn't even touch on, did
Yeah,
we?
no. We and to be honest, we didn't touch on a lot of stuff because we had such a great time talking about his new book, Black Beth, and also there's an awful lot of comics writing process talk coming up, and we know a lot of you people out there are a fan of the process talk, and we are as well. So we just. Never mind our waffling. We're going to laugh to ourselves for the next 15 minutes while you're listening to this interview, because it's fascinating. We actually get serious. So we've got all the funny stuff out of the way, and now, actually, I can't say that because Alex, just the same as us, really, isn't he? He joins in right at the beginning.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah. So check out the interview now. Okay, this week we're very pleased to be joined by a writer whose writing credits include the likes of 2000 AD, Warhammer, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Realm of the Damned, which as you all know is one of my personal faves, and his latest book is the new Black Beth. Welcome to the show, Alec Worley.
Watch out, how you doing? Everything all right?
Alec, good to have you on,
Alec.
man. Yeah, good stuff. I know we recently had a chat about dress code for the show. I know you're dressed up. Nice.
Yes. I'm not going the full Winnie the Pooh, as you promised, but I am casually attired. But I did have a shower just for you guys.
Thank you.
You do have to sort of ask the question, which Winnie the Pooh are you talking about? Because in Disney's version, he did have a T-shirt on top, but in the original... He just...
Yeah, that's why I go. I go with a T-shirt and nothing on the bottom. That's what I do.
That's right. Real classy.
Yeah.
He did, but he's also got like a seam sort of up his arse, so you can see the stitches.
Have you met Tony then?
Oh, right.
You've seen Tony in real life then?
It was that time I fell down the stairs and my cock went in the Hoover. That's where that injury occurred.
You know what? I used to know a nurse who worked. She said pretty much every other week, a bloke would come in with something up his bum. And it could almost be, and each bloke thought they were the first bloke to ever do it because they would all start with the same excuse. It was always, I was coming out the shower and I slipped. And it was, and she goes, I would have had more respect if they just said, look, I'm just going to own up. I lubed up and knock you out.
You got to get in front of it, haven't you? You just got to go, look, we don't need to talk about it. You know it and I know it.
Yeah, let's just deal with it.
Let's just go.
Yeah. I was down the allotment on the cucumber patch.
Yeah.
My trousers fell down. I lost my footing. You never guess what happened.
Yeah.
That's why Henry the Hoover's so happy.
Yeah. As you can tell, folks, it's going to be a fun one this week.
Hold on.
We've already been speaking for 10 minutes before we even started this interview and been laughing a lot. And also, Alec and Dan have properly bonded over Viz.
Viz,
yes.
Oh,
Viz
totally,
lovers.
yes.
Yeah. Which is definitely a book that I feel there's a discussion in the future. We've got to try.
Do you remember I asked two of the Viz people to come on and we never followed it up? I must do that, must I? Must follow that up.
I emailed Viz.
They're mysterious creators, aren't they? Like you don't. I mean, I remember like when the brief time I was on Twitter, I followed the two guys who did Drunken Bakers, and that was it. I couldn't quite figure out who everyone else was. Like I couldn't figure out who did Fruity Bun and his gingerbread sex dolls, which is another work of genius. But I mean, that sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but it truly isn't, because the way it follows his delusion that the things are alive and yet they are somehow alive.
Yeah,
it's just it's brilliant. It's just one of those. People talk about British comics and it's kind of like 2000 AD. It's all kind of very respectable, but then you've kind of got Commando as well, which is that little oddball thing that kind of chugs along in the background. And then Viz just kind of gets totally overlooked. It's just kind of proper outlaw comics almost, and yet there's so much amazing stuff that goes on in it.
If you look at the Viz, like when they do a Facebook post, all the people underneath it commenting, and they're all kind of in on the joke and telling jokes themselves. They're great.
Yeah, and also like whenever, because myself and Tony, we get gifted the annual once a year from Dan. Very kind of you, Dan. As always, something we've. It's kind of a tradition now.
I look forward to it now.
Doing the Lord's work.
But as soon as you open it up, you're immediately hit by the quality of artwork in there is astonishing.
Yeah.
In that book. Whereas it's probably one of those because of the name Viz and comics in themselves have a reputation, much like superhero genre has a reputation. People probably hear the name and go, oh, they think it's this. And it's not. It's a lot more going on.
It's a subversion of that style that we had with, I know they've got it coming out from Rebellion, that Monster Fun book. Yeah, and it's a subversion of that sort of very British, dandy.
That's it. I think it's like because there's so many strips in there that are taking the piss out of old school 1950s conservative boys' adventure comics, and I do wonder sometimes, do the modern readers even know those books at all?
Yeah.
I mean, things like
the Border Black Bin Liner was a favourite of mine.
Yeah. Yes, that's it. I remember that one.
Some of them, they're really topical as well, though. Like, you'll read them and they're making like a statement about something that's going on in the news or a politician or something.
Yes. Yeah.
What's the politician one called? He's always Baxter.
Baxter Basics.
Yeah, Baxter Basics. Yeah.
I love the names, man.
That'll be on a bus soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. But I think I do wonder, like, because frankly, and I'm not the only person to say, Alan Moore said this as well, how like comics, certainly in the last 7 years, comics have become very middle class.
Yeah, Pat Mills said the same. He calls it the Hamsterdization of comics, which I kind of think,
it really is. It's kind of, everything's kind of, very Waitrose. And things like Viz, I mean, certainly in reputation, it's very working class, but it's kind of, I don't know. It's an interesting one, Viz.
We find the same about the zines and stuff. They're like become super middle class now,
Yeah, because a lot of zines in themselves. When I was younger, I used to think, the photocopied, properly sort of homemade, and
punk rock.
And now a zine will be as professionally printed as some zines are just supremely.
What coffee I drank today in London Fields. It's that sort of shit.
My flan recipe.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It's very strange, but
obviously, immediately people know that you're a man who knows their comics and has grown up with comics. And I think that's a good sort of introduction to how this new sort of Black Beth has come about, which I think is quite fascinating.
It's quite an interesting origin, isn't it? Yeah,
and, she's got. Sorry, interrupt you again.
Go for it. Take it away. The floor is yours. Tell us about it.
I get really overexcited and just want to talk over everyone. Because I don't get out. I sit at home staring at desks and talking. Literally, when I've written something, especially if it's a comic script, I will read it through, talking in the voices. The neighbours must think I'm absolutely barking mad.
Sex person. They think you're a sex person, clearly, Alec.
Basically, I'll do talking, screaming, shouting, talking, ooh, in a high lady's voice. And then seriously, absolutely round the twist. But so Beth is she's had a very kind of strange, mysterious background as Beth. So she started off life. This much we know. She was commissioned. Well, the strip was commissioned in 1976, according to the artist Blas Gallego. If that's how you pronounce it, Gallego. It's a Spanish comics artist, illustrator. Who's also famous for doing lots of brilliant Conan cover art. And if you go on his website, his website is very, very, very not safe for work. There is a heroic amount of porn on there.
Heroic amount.
Heroic amount of porn.
That's the classification of porn. Yeah.
So it was commissioned by a guy called Jack Legrand, who used to work for IPC.
Yeah.
Now, from what we understand, it was commissioned in 1976 for a comic called Scream. We don't really know whether it was a horror book or quite what it was, whether it was an anthology, but it was going to be called Scream. And it got canned before issue 1, as a lot of IPC books did when they had these big ideas and then they just ended up getting shelved. And the artwork for Beth had all been done, and those pages essentially sat in a drawer for over 10 years. And I believe it was Barry Tomlinson, when he was doing the Scream, because everyone knows since the Scream anthology comic that came out in the 80s and ran for a year and was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
there were several holiday specials that came out several each year after that. And one of these, I think it was the 1988 one, which I think is the one that's got that Nosferatu ghost on the cover, the dude in the big overcoat and the bald head.
Yeah.
There was, and I picked it up in 1988 when I think I was on holiday in Norfolk, and bored out of my mind, and my mum got me this special, and it was dominated by this strip, Black Beth, that they'd unearthed for free, dug it out the drawer and stuck it in there. And we don't actually know who wrote the thing. Now, I did a little bit of detective work when I pitched, because this isn't the first outing of our revived Black Beth. We've done a couple of
You're in the Scream and Misty special, weren't you, in 2018?
The one, which I did a couple of years, about 3 years ago was the first one. And so I asked around, and I emailed Blass, and I emailed Barry Tomlinson and Dev Skin, because Gallagher was doing, for Hammer House of Horror, he did a couple of Hammer strips. I think he did Twins of Evil and something else. So I asked Des and asked about it. Now, Dave Roach, the artist and historian, he's probably the man to ask about this. But I've just dug out my notes that I made at the time. And one of the writers on it was apparently Ian Gibson. And I got this from a book that I think is Hibernia Comics did. I'm afraid I don't know the author, apologies. Hibernia Comics did a book called It's Ghastly, The Untimely Demise of Scream.
Love
yes,
that.
I need to get that. You got that, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
The full story's in there. And basically it said that it said there that Gibson worked on it briefly, but it appeared to be some kind of project that Blass was doing on his own. But he basically did most of it. Now, when I spoke to Blass myself and asked him who wrote it, he said he couldn't remember who'd written it. So I know he's quite elderly now, and I don't know if his memory isn't what it was, or maybe someone else wrote it. We don't know. But what I'm hoping to do at some point is do a proper deep dive into this and see if we can find out exactly who did this, so I can sort of put together like a definitive because it would be great to credit the original writer if you can find out who he is. I spoke to Barry Tomlinson. He reckoned they used to have these massive, great big grimoires in IPC that listed everybody who did everything, the letter of the colorist, everything. And he said they chucked them out. Someone said they were taking up too much space and they were winning a skip. That all disappeared. But yeah, at the moment, the only creator we can say for certain was Blass. And I remember thinking at the time, because when I got it in 1988, I was away with the fairies on Fighting Fantasy game books, Hulk the Slayer, Conan the Barbarian.
Excellent.
The classic holiday fodder as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I was an absolute fantasy nutcase, and I seem to. I remember getting it in my head. There's going to be people screaming at me now who the name of the artist was, but there was a guy who did the illustrations for the Fighting Fantasy book, Talisman of Death, and some of the Dragon Warriors books, and The Way of the Tiger. Do you remember the ninja?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I do remember. Yeah.
It's Bob somebody, and I'm afraid I can't remember his surname. I got it into my head because the style looked quite similar. It was that smoky, sinewy, black and white, inky artwork, and I got it into my head that it was him who'd drawn it when I was however old I was in 1988. And looking at the pages from the original strip now, I think I get the feeling that the pages, Blass's pages, were tinkered with, because let me just hit pause for a second and just tell you what the strip is about. So it's set in a sort of medieval Europe. It's almost kind of Macbethian in its it's lots of kind of strange warlords, and there's this sort of vengeful, smoky, witchy kind of atmosphere to it all. And there's this prophecy gets told to this lord that this demon of vengeance was going to come along. This girl, I think, was going to kill him, and he goes off and tries to stop this, and he lays low this village, as happens to every 80s fantasy hero, from Red Sonja to Conan to everyone. Their village gets wiped out by the warlord, and they swear revenge. So in wiping out this village, he actually kicks off the very person who's going to come and get him in the end. And so it's all very kind of Greek tragedy, sort of like the Perseus story and all this kind of thing. And so she gets rescued by this blind hunchback called Guido. And he makes her a suit of armor. Quite how he does that, if he's blind, I don't know. He does it by braille, we don't know.
Blind people are called in these things, aren't they?
Yeah. And sort of teaches her how to fight and all this kind of thing. And then she makes her vow, and she dresses up, looks awesome, and off she goes on a kind of vendetta against all evil. And so anyway, going back to the pages on the original art, and again, you probably have to talk to someone like David Roach about this. Some of the panels, I get the feeling perhaps the strip was done for a slightly older audience, because there's panels in there where you are clearly supposed to be looking at Beth's booty, and I think he's drawn the arse and someone's blacked it out with ink, because there's certain panels, there's bits when she's lying on her front all knocked out, and literally it's all arse basically, and someone's blacked it all out. And there's bits where she's kind of wearing little chainmail knickers over what look like black leggings, and I think perhaps what might have happened is someone's blacked this out to make it a little bit less curvaceous for a younger audience.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
But I couldn't say that for sure. There's one panel in particular that looks a little bit odd, and you just kind of think, well, that just looks strange to me. You guys, you as artists among us, you'd probably be able to spot that perhaps better than I would. But yeah, so I'm hoping at one point to just do a little bit of a deep dive, maybe get in touch with Ian Gibson and Dave Roach, and see if I can find out sort of properly a little bit more about how this came about. But at the moment, the guys who've done all the legwork on this is Hibernia Comics in their It's Ghastly, the Untimely Demise of Scream.
Yeah, their publications are so well sort of researched and written.
Yeah,
it's fascinating stuff.
So they kind of put the stuff out that the guys who brought Black Beth out aren't bothered about that. I've bought a couple of collections off them recently, actually. Hibernia, they put out a few things, haven't they? Yeah. Speaking of David Roach, he's done a pin-up in this as well, hasn't he?
Yes, that's right. I just haven't had bloody time to get in touch. There's a couple of terrific pin-ups, and there's a couple of strips at the back that I think some of the reviewers aren't really kind of mentioning, but are just equally amazing artwork. There's Andrea oh God, I'm going to mispronounce his name. Bulgarelli, I think.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
That's where I'm going with it. Yeah, it sounds right. Yeah.
He did a brilliant John Buscema sort of Savage Sword of Conan types.
He did the cover as well, didn't he? As well,
yes, he did the cover
because
as well.
That cover's stunning.
Yeah, strong cover, man.
That
really
reminds me of those sort of, like you say, the fighting fantasy books. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
It's got that sort of real vibe to it.
Tells a story as well, man. I like covers like that. You know, you've got everything going on in that cover, haven't you?
This is it. I think it's what I really wanted to do with the whole thing is it's like you know what Spielberg did with Raise the Lost Ark. Like what Spielberg was doing is obviously this was all inspired by the Saturday morning serials he saw when he was a kid, but he wasn't really as interested in just homaging specific things as he was trying to kind of conjure the spirit of how he felt as a little kid watching these amazing things. And I was in the same vein. I remember watching things like Golden Voyage of Sinbad and Jason the Argonauts, and just trying to go back and remember how did I feel in my gut when I saw that, and try and nail down what that magic was. And for me, it was always that. It's an old phrase. It's not really used much anymore, but that sense of wonder.
I think that sense of wonder is certainly, I'm going to sound like a grumpy old man now, is lost on a lot of certainly like modern cinematic sort of films.
We expect so much
because and also we look at them and go, oh, that's special effect, isn't it? That's a bit ropey, or that's like this. But like you say, when I was a kid and I watched Jason the Argonauts, which was still like 20, 30 years after my time or whatever, by the time I watched it blew my mind. No, I didn't question, well, how did those skeletons, how did they do those? How did they?
I watched Golden Voyage of Sinbad about a month ago, but I just watched it for Carolyn Munro, to be fair.
She has I do recall she has a very sweaty bosom in that.
The Medusa in Clash is bloody scary as fuck.
Brilliant.
Terrifying.
Completely. I mean, I think as well, one of the things that there's certain techniques that get used in certain movies and in certain books and so on to kind of create that sense. And I think something that's lost these days is, you know, it's almost like they're making movies out of wiki pages. It's like you don't. It's like the Alien franchise is a perfect example as far as I'm concerned. It's like you don't need to know where the space jockey came from. There's a zillion questions, and all you're doing is just sucking every ounce of mystery and imagination out of everything, because you're not giving the viewer imaginative space.
So that sucks the threat out as well.
The fear is the unknown, isn't it? It's just
I mean, it's like, so for example, there's one technique I always kind of glommed onto, and it's something that's used in Star Wars. The original state, it's not called A New Hope, it's called fucking Star Wars. Anyway, it's the fact that what was so clever about that, and what Lucas did, is he built everything into the dialogue. So you got Luke talking about Toshi Station and power converters. We never find out what power converters are or what Toshi Station is. But the dialogue is so evocative. It gives you the sense. It just plants that seed in your brain, and it gives your imagination. It invites your imagination in, and it allows you to just kind of get a sense of a world that exists beyond the rectangle of the screen. And you see similar things, even in things like Hawk the Slayer. The wizards are gathering in the south. What does that mean? But it doesn't matter. It's just got that sense.
Lords to the north. They mentioned them several times.
But you've got that sort of sense of you being invited to be an active component in the story. And it's something that I'm learning. It's something really that I've learned in doing prose recently, and it's something that you get in writers like Hemingway. So, sorry to pull back a little bit. There's a brilliant TED talk on YouTube by Andrew Stanton. It's on YouTube. Called, I think it's The Art of Story or something, and Andrew Stanton is one of the Pixar brain trust. And in that he talks about what he called the universal theory of 2 + 2. So you don't give the audience 4, you give them 2, and you give them another 2, and you let them come up with 4, right? So what you do, you don't show a T-Rex bursting through a set of gates. What you show is a glass of water shaking on a dashboard and a missing goat. And your brain will fill in the gaps and go, there's something big heading this way. So it's all about inferring. And it's like, I'm reading a lot of Hemingway at the moment, and what Hemingway does is he doesn't
love Hemingway, man.
He doesn't. But it's like, you're watching the thing on BBC Two at the moment.
I haven't seen that.
It's monumental. It's absolutely amazing. I'm so glad I'm watching it.
What's it called?
But it's just called Hemingway. It's like a 6-part documentary on his whole life. It's 6 parts. It goes into everything. And
I just read The Snows of Kilimanjaro last week, actually. Funny enough.
Oh, really? That's fucking fantastic.
Incredible. It's talk about bleak.
It's so death haunted, and it's so he doesn't state anything. Everything's inferred, and so it's something that Stephen King said about writing. He goes, the more I describe my high school nerd, the more it pushes your high school nerd out. So when you're describing anything, you don't describe too much. You don't give them too much, because you're just pushing the other person out. You need to give them imaginative space. Going back to the whole thing with fantasy, it's like.
But that's a challenge with comics, though, isn't it? Comics are a very visual medium where you're literally seeing it on the page. How do you find those sort of writing challenges? Putting that into practice in a comic.
Again, I mean, put it the same way like Lucas did in Star Wars. It's like you put it into dialogue, or you put it into kind of whatever the things that people are talking about, and the kind of. I mean, even in things like Jason the Argonauts. I always remember that shot in Argonauts when, when the Hercules and Hylas stumble into the little valley, and you see Talos, but there's all these other statues in the background. You're like, what are they? What are they? Go there and have a look over there. It's like, but you never get to walk over there. You never get to look at that. And it's in things like, I remember fantasy posters. Like I remember my mate. His brother was in the army, and we used to sneak into his bedroom when he was away, look at his ninja sword and his he had these wonderful like Vallejo art books with nudie ladies with little saucers over their boobs and this sort of thing. And but you'd kind of get lost in a lot of that artwork, because there were so many. Rodney Matthews was one that always sprang to mind, because there were so many details in those. Like your mind would just kind of disappear off, and you'd be looking at all these other details. I wonder where that door leads. I wonder what lives in that castle over there. So I mean, there's certainly things that you can do.
We don't spoon feed people. I think that's the thing that people don't realise is when we were growing up reading comics, we jumped into issue 133 of a series, and now they're like, oh no, I couldn't possibly do that. I need to read from issue 1 because they want to be spoon fed everything they need to know. But to me, it was an absolutely fucking brilliant sort of almost. Oh, I was searching for treasure, trying to find out who's that Legionnaire, who's that Avenger, who's that villain they're talking about there. It was like it kept me going. It intrigued me so much.
They're also written to be self-contained. So you didn't have to know those things, but you got more out of it if you did.
And we're comic collectors. That's our mentality, isn't it? We need to collect, don't we? It's almost like, But
you can do that with like characters. They can talk about their past and past adventures, and you would never explore that. But the fact that they've done stuff in their past that
Han Solo is the classic character for that, isn't it? All the stuff that went on before it.
One of my favourite sort of narrative tropes is when. Sort of side characters are talking about, oh, this person's a badass, they've killed this many people, and you keep hearing this story of how this person is just the best thing ever, or like they're just a tornado of death, and then that person arrives, and it's almost like even though you haven't seen this person at any point, as soon as they walk in, your mind immediately goes, oh, shit's going to get real now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because what the author has done there is they built the world for you, because this is a world in which people know this guy and they react to him. It's kind of it's something I think this is something about how, certainly when people talk about like politics in comics, I think what people specifically have an issue with is when that is badly done, because I mean politics and
we've talked about this, man. You don't want to be hit over the head with it, do we?
Yeah. Funny enough, I was listening to one of your earlier. Is this the list? Was that the reader questions episode you did?
It's come up a couple of times, to be honest. But
okay. Yeah. Well, I was one I listened to, but it's because the problem is like there are biases and there are politics inherent in whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Right?
So
of course.
The problem is you can rant and rave about whatever you want, but again, it's that whole thing of you need to give the other person imaginative space. And if all you're going to do is just rant at them, you're probably better off writing an essay or writing some sort of polemic rather than, because what you need to do in fiction is you need to just kind of make it part of the world and kind of make them come around to themselves rather than just pushing yourself onto it the whole time. And the other thing as well is that, as I say, your biases will always betray you. Always. You don't need to be that political all the time. Now, this isn't to say that you can't write. I mean, like Orwell or Margaret Atwood. I mean, they've written works that are clearly political. Of course they are. These are more kind of along the lines of fable than anything else. And so they set up a different relationship with the reader and the artist in that sense. But it's it's
also the risk of like they sort of set up a straw man argument in some of it, like, why are you defending this? This is so black and white issue. I'm right and this is wrong. And so sometimes it's kind of 9 times out of 10 it's more nuanced than that.
I think that's the great
sixth form politics, like, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the great thing about something like Handmaid's Tale is because I guess is what novelists are always looking for, and I think artists are always looking for, is paradox. You're always looking for that kind of so if all you're going to tell me is Trump is a big orange racist, I said, well, I know that because of
exactly. Why don't need to? What makes you think I don't know that? Do you know it's like
exactly.
that, isn't it?
That's kind of pointless. So why are you saying this?
To entertain you, I'm going to. A whole issue runs of issue telling you that Trump's a big orange racist, and there's no inherent entertainment value in this. And it's like, why are you telling me this?
It's also, I feel like it's also, I need more than that. I need you to tell me. I need you to bring something new to the argument. I need you to tell me. So why is this so popular now? How have these people risen to power? What effect is this going to have? Extrapolate, makes it, because science fiction that just states the obvious. It's not really predictive in any way. You're just stating the bloody obvious. So I mean, and again, your biases will always betray you. Yeah. If you have horrible attitudes towards women or people of color, or that will betray you in your choice of character, in your choice of resolution to a story, in your choice of plot, in your choice of everything. The issue is that the reader needs some degree of literacy in order to interface with that. And I think a lot of the time what people have is a very fundamentalist attitude towards art these days. It's the equivalent of, seeing a drawing of a hamburger and trying to eat it. No, don't try and eat it. It's not a hamburger. It's a drawing of a hamburger. So do you know what I mean?
That's very true.
Yeah, I agree.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Villains are villains for a reason. And that as well. I think that's the thing. Villains can be. If you've got a villain, he may well be a racist. I mean, you're racist, but I think people think that you writing a villain who's a racist makes you a racist as a writer, and a lot of people are afraid to fucking push boundaries. They're afraid to experiment anymore. I think there's a lot of people out there being safe. I think.
I think. I mean, that's certainly an issue, and you can see that in sort of. I mean, you go back to sort of like the 50s with like sort of the McCarthy era and everything, where people. I mean, we lost like a generation of great screenwriters from the.
I mean, I'm actually wearing a T-shirt that says Frederick Wortham can eat a dick. That's what my T-shirt says. Genuinely, yeah.
One of the things that maybe is kind of getting too much into the philosophy here, but like I feel like sometimes there's this attitude of like people are good and there's no inherent evil or darkness to people, where I believe it's the opposite, where you have to work and overcome that stuff and not give into those kind of baser, darker side of it. And they think by not addressing that means it doesn't exist and it won't come up, which is, we know, is absolute folly.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like bringing it sort of back to Black Beth. I mean, this was something that in this particular story, I kind of glommed onto. It was the fact that Beth is like she's like the Punisher. She's one of these kind of Slayer characters. So her whole thing is, I will stand up to injustice and evil wherever I see it. And there are times when you absolutely need that. You absolutely need that focus and that courage to stand up to absolute downright evil, right? However, what you need to be aware of is that there are organizations and there are people who will try and take advantage of that narrow vision and that passion and will try and manipulate them into doing things that actually aren't progressive at all. And I mean, one of the great themes of all time is, people who think they're doing good are actually evil. Like the Spanish Inquisition didn't think they were the bad guys.
No.
Yeah.
Neither did the Salem witch hunters. They thought, well, what do you like witches? It's you've it's all that.
Yeah, you always trying to read history and you think to yourself, I would be the one. I'd be fighting with the freedom fighters. I'd be the one hiding Anne Frank up in the loft. And it's like 9 times out of 10. No, you'd be fucking goose stepping. Like we could be doing it right now, like marching into some shit.
Well, this is all the things that sort of great literature and great art talks to you about. But it's kind of like, and addresses. But it's just about you. What I feel really, what we really, really need right now is greater literacy and just the greater ability to interface with text, especially now in the age of fake news and God knows what else. Is like you just need to be able to understand art and to be able to kind of understand perhaps where a creator is coming from or what they might be saying. Now, for example, I mean, there's certain times when you look at, for example, filmmakers, you see filmmakers over a period of time and you see the same creative decisions are made in film after film after film. There's one filmmaker that springs to mind. I think Sam Peckinpah was a filmmaker who I think was a genuine misogynist. He deeply, deeply hated women, and you can see that in the choices that he's made.
You just got to hear the interviews for Straw Dogs and all that sort of thing. Yes. In the interview, I forget the lady's name now. He interviewed her with no trousers on, didn't he? I think.
That's right. I think I've heard. Yes, he was a horrible. I mean, but it's. So what do we now do with that? What do we now do with that? Would you kind of stick it in a drawer and forget about it, or how do we? Yeah. We need to be able to understand this and why these things happen. And we're getting quite deep now, aren't we? But
I mean, it always happens. I mean, people tune into this show thinking, "Oh, I wonder what fart and knob jokes is going to be this week." And
we'll get back to them in a minute.
Throw this on
Give us 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we started this chat with a few minutes about Viz.
Yeah.
One thing to me, Alec, it's all about experimentation, man. I think art is. I'm worried that art is becoming, and I think it's because of the proliferation of the unnuanced effect of Twitter and stuff like that. Art is becoming too safe these days. And I don't think there's enough people out there taking actual chances on stuff.
I mean, you go back to the 70s and you look. I mean, we wouldn't have you wouldn't have David Bowie or Public Enemy if people didn't take chances and were.
We wouldn't have the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, it worries me though. I think how did it come to this? I don't understand how we've gone from being.
I think it's the effect that the internet has had is it's kind of made all these niches. It's almost like rising waters, and it's made all these little niches now mainstreams. That everything is part of the main water. I mean, you have there are so many subcultures, whether it's comics culture, gym culture, tattoo culture, queer culture. It's all
furries.
Just kind of in part of the. It's all part of the mainstream now, and it's kind of. It's odd, and I think if you look at things like 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades of Grey is designed to be consumed within a very specific arena. It's essentially going back to porn. It's basically porn. It's supposed to be
erotica,
yeah. It's supposed to be consumed in that safe space. You're not supposed to read it as a political manifesto.
No,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And what you find with these cultures and communities that build up around them, and I think comics is a perfect example of it. We're very much in the small press field. And then when you're interacting and you get to know all these comics people, it feels like you're part of like this huge world that you weren't really aware of before. And also, it seems like it's bigger than it is. I think a lot of these subcultures and these communities are an illusion. It's amazing when you're part of it because
it's a bubble, isn't it?
It feels like the biggest thing in the world. Comics to us, I mean, if you're listening to this show now, comics are like one of the biggest things ever. They're a huge part of your life. They're a huge part of all of us. When you're looking at the grand scheme of the world, this world that loves all these reality TV shows, and you realise
if you sell 1,000 issues of your comic, you're doing fucking well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how small it is, in the small press.
I spoke to someone yesterday about small press. I might have been talking Greek and said no concept of comics. Comics.
I think as well, going back to the whole thing about niches, and I mean, one of the unfortunate things is that, I mean, obviously, along with those niches are some very nasty, horrible niches that have also now been given a voice. And I mean, there's certain things that, me as a white dude at a convention would not have noticed or even known about. And yet, there's all, when I've had ladies tell me about things they've experienced at convention, you think, what the hell? I remember the first time I'd ever heard that. I thought, what the... Really? People do that? And it's like, well, you
Are you talking about cosplayers? Because you could talk about cosplayers. I fucking hate cosplayers.
Don't start your hate for cosplayers, Tony. I love cosplayers. I just want to put that out there. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, you do hear some stories and you're like, fucking hell. Like, where'd that come from? Because obviously, we don't see it, but it's there.
But I mean, just going back to that. I mean, it's like there's a lots of horrible, nasty stuff that's kind of come in with the mix that we now have to deal with, and it's kind of, I think we're in a period now where we are just kind of adjusting to kind of, okay, we now know that this shit is happening, and we now know that there is this person and there is this person, there is this person. How are we all going to move forward without killing each other, basically? Because we want comics. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think all comics are for everyone. Like, Crossed isn't for the same audience as
it's just a medium after all.
Lumberjanes. But the medium of comics is for everybody, and there should be no gatekeeping, and no one should ever feel as if they're being pushed out.
We need the numbers, Alec. That's what we need. We need the numbers at the moment. And you know what I mean? It's
I'm all for that thing of like, if you don't like something and you find it offensive, it doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. And
yes,
do you know what
I mean? That's the mentality that the gunman had when they walked into the Charlie Hebdo office.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't tolerate this being in the world, and I need it gone.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not the way forward. That really isn't the way forward. Yeah. And it's like we need to come from a place of understanding and, frankly, a place of love. We need to kind of, recognize that everyone's about, and just have a generosity of spirit and a moral imagination.
And there's also a certain, obviously, that a lot of the sort of modern comics as well. You've got like your mainstream big two, or whatever you want to call it. Then you've got and then there's the comics are an art form. But I think people must never lose sight that the comics need to be consumed. The way that we're talking, Black Beth exists because you were a kid who read it in a holiday special, obsessed with it, and now look at us. You're now writing it.
That's cool.
and now, sold out in Gosh, by the way. Sold out in Gosh. There you go.
Oh, is it? Oh, really?
Yeah, I bought the last one yesterday.
Oh, fantastic!
Nice one.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
No, that was that was sort of weird because I remember reading. Do you remember? Did you ever used to read Hammer House of Horror?
Yeah, I loved it, man.
Do you remember Shandor Demon Stalker?
I loved it because he was in Warrior for a while as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's it. I wrote a game book of Shandor Demon Stalker in when I was a kid. Again, I was just so obsessed with game books.
Nice.
Constantly sort of coming up with like other adventures because obviously there was only ever one episode of Beth, and I was just like, well, what happened? Where did this go? It just became this kind of, going back to that sense of wonder, like, well, where did she go next? What did all these things do? So I mean, when I brought her back for the first story, I said to the editor Keith Richardson, because I asked him, like, because he said, "Oh, we've got this IPC stuff now, so we've got Scream," and I kind of said, "Hang on a second, you got Black Beth?" And he said, "Yeah, pretty sure we do." So I was just like, "Oh, mate, you please, like, can you get me and Danny, who I'd worked with on another story, because she'd be absolutely perfect for it."
Yeah, she's a great choice for this, man.
She's phenomenal. Really good. Yeah, she is just incredible to work with.
I know she quotes Toppy as an influence, but I'm seeing a bit of maybe John M. Burns or Frank Bellamy or someone like that in there as well. Who was it who used to draw Garth? It's that sort of feel.
Yes, it was Bellamy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think I almost feel like sort of sad because the thing with Danny is she changed up her style slightly with every story that we've done so far.
Right.
And it's just she's phenomenal. And I mean, in every time I've gone through it, I had a kind of specific redesign, not redesign, but I just sort of said, okay, well, look, we're going for a kind of young adult audience, perhaps, maybe a little bit older. So maybe make Beth a little bit younger. I kind of based her on a young Barbara Steele.
Good choice.
Just to sort of get that sort of that Black Sunday era Barbara Steele.
I can see. Do you know what? Now that you say that, I can totally see it.
She was always quite. She was always quite sexy, Barbara Steele, but there was a touch of evil about her, wasn't there, as well? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so I kind of threw pictures of Barbara Steele at Danny and just sort of said, okay, how do you want to do this? And I said, well, we can't, because Danny just wants to make everything sexy. And I said, all right, Danny, we can't reel it back a bit. We can't go.
Otherwise, we'll have to cover the arse in black ink constantly.
Yeah, get that black ink in. Yeah.
Yeah. So pull it back a little bit. And I think so. We made her and Guido slightly younger, and I made the relationship slightly different as well. So we based Guido. The ref I sent it was for Liam Hemsworth.
Gotcha.
I was just like, he's got to be.
Who's that?
Liam Hemsworth.
Who's that?
He's.
I'm only joking.
Oh, right. Okay. He's a very hot young dude, so I was just like, yeah, he's got a lot.
I mean, you put that into Google and you get a hell of a lot of different responses. A hot young dude, isn't it? But
yes,
right.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was on there for a while, and I put the. And you know the blindfold from that what's the name from Mock Hero Picture Shows in Hawk the Slayer, the blind wizard lady.
Oh, the witch lady, and
the witch lady. She's got a little blindfold with the eye on it. I said Credo's got to wear that with a little eye.
Awesome.
So that's our little homage to Hawk. But all the monsters and everything else, I pretty much just said to Danny, look, you just go with it. This is roughly what we need. We need something that can go underwater. Maybe it looks like a crab. Maybe it looks like this. But you tell me what you want to do. And she just went, "Oh, great! I will do this." And off she went, and just sort of comes up with crazy stuff. And
the way she's got such an individual style. So some of the stuff is like fully in focus, but sometimes it's little more than a few lines that creates a background sometimes. But it's so beautifully done. Yeah. And she does it with colour as well. A lot of the lines are drawn in colour, aren't they?
Yeah,
you got those heavy blacks, and if you zoom in on it, what looks like squiggles, but what you're seeing is a beautiful mountain that someone stood up on.
Yeah.
I think. Do you think maybe it's that whole thing again about like just conjuring a world out of just very little?
Yeah,
the colour palettes as well. I mean, it really sort of sings of like those sort of pulp fantasy sort of covers. It feels like booklet covers out of the 70s. Those thin sort of pulpy fantasy novels. That colour palette's running through the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of because I don't want this to be a book for old farts that just go, oh, I remember. But at the same time, I want it to kind of have that completely swashbuckling, no snark. That was one of the rules that came out with this. Like, there's going to be none of this modern dialogue. You've got to have
man, I'm so glad. I think we went from, this is my theory, we went from people mimicking current, life and dialogue in comics to people mimicking movies to people mimicking other comics to people mimicking fucking Twitter.
Yeah,
I honestly think there is an essay waiting to be written about the effect that social media has had on storytelling. Because there are so many movies I've seen, so many TV shows I've seen that feel like they're kind of ready-made memes, or they've been kind of like
they're made with that in mind.
Yeah, or the script was 140 characters or less. Yeah.
It's a weird thing, but I mean, it comes back to that sort of conditioning people into just accepting the first thing that you're seeing, to take every single thing literally, and it's not a healthy way of. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of social media. I kind of consider it digital cancer, to be honest. But I think it's done some incredible things, but I think a lot of the insidious things about it, I think we're going to end up paying for, quite honestly. But sorry, I'm very dark.
No, I agree, man.
That's fine.
We're completely on side with you. The only reason the three of us have got social media is to promote our comics and promote this podcast, and that's probably it. Really.
I was listening to what you were saying about Kickstarter, and I think that's one of the reasons I don't think I'd ever be on Kickstarter anytime soon, is because I just can't. I mean, I'm constantly told that you need to be online, you need to be happy, you need to be putting out newsletters, you need to be doing. Where the hell am I supposed to be getting the time to do this? Because I'm too busy trying to get work done and get it out the door and get an invoice in. I haven't got time. I'd love to be writing blogs all day, but there's no time.
But you're a writer as well that writes comics. Now, I mean, that sounds like the most basic statement I've ever said. But what I mean is, like, when I've read an Alec Worley comic, there's text on the page. It's still a comic and everything flows through, but there are words on the page. Sometimes we see comics that someone's written them, but there's only a couple of bubbles of dialogue and the rest of it's all
fight scene, 5 pages. That's easy, isn't it?
Fight scene, 5 pages, £5.
I mean, I'll be honest though. I do think at times, like, I think that comics are probably like best as that kind of purely visual medium. And it's like when you do have a silent comic, I think when you read a lot of sort of manga, things like that, and it's just like you're just setting up scenes, and you've just got those aspects of You're quoting me Scott McCloud's here, but you go into these sort of aspect to aspect panels where it's just rain dripping off a gutter and rings of rain in the puddles and that, and it's just having the time to sort of put together an atmosphere and just not having any words at all. I always think that it is good to just pull back as much as you possibly can and just push everything into the dialogue, and even then, just don't have people nattering all the bloody time, because there's so much in it that you could get that point across. Just by setting it somewhere else, setting it in a garage rather than a cafe or whatever. But I think again the problem is, what was the again? There's the I should know this. There's the McCloud transitions, and there's one of them where the reader needs to infer something that isn't evident in the panel. So, for example, you've got the girl crying on the phone saying, "I'm absolutely fine," and she clearly isn't fine because we can see that she's crying. And those I think are sometimes the most powerful transitions in a comic, because those are the ones that bring your reader in. However, unless you have a very close creative relationship with the artist, a lot of those, or unless you've stated exactly what effect you're after in the script, an artist will sometimes miss them, and then it just lands like a dead fish on the.
I think it really is down to the relationship you got with the artist, especially if you've worked with them before, and and especially if you're speaking to them as well. I always chat to them. I've never sent a script off and just somebody's just drawn it and sent it back to me. I'm always chatting to them as it goes on. I think another thing I wanted to bring up there as well, Alec, is the importance of knowing where you are and placing yourself somewhere in a comic. I think a reader needs to know that they're in, the world of the barbarians, on a mountain, or they need to know that, like you say, they're in a garage. I think it's really important. Once you've got them there, then you can take them through the story. I think that's done enough sometimes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just it's kind of having that sense of, but which is like it's tricky when you're working on stuff like 2000 AD. I find it's almost like you're writing a haiku, because you've just got such a tiny amount of space. It would be. I mean, this is why Eisner wanted to kind of move into graphic novels, because you've just got these tiny strips, and you're. It's not that you don't have enough room to say anything. It's just that your vocabulary is completely shrunk down to kind of this and nothing else. Yeah. So when you're working in 2000 AD, you're working in 5-page chunks. There's no room for aspect to aspect stuff. You've got to keep everything moving. There has to be a fight there has to be something going on in this episode. Whereas if you were to write a Dredd graphic novel, you would be able to tell a completely different kind of story. And I think people would be shocked to see the difference in the feel of a Dredd graphic novel as opposed to a Dredd broken up into 5 episode pages, because again, your vocabulary just expands. And I think this is why, I said this somewhere else recently, I think this is why a lot of creators like Al Ewing and Rob Williams, who cut their teeth at Tooth Owl, go off to America, and oh my god, you've suddenly got 22 pages. They just suddenly explode. And they can do all sorts of stuff, and they just sort of start experimenting and going a little bit wild and crazy. And you know, because you do have that kind of freedom. The page count is just so important. It's the first thing that you ask of a project. It was like with Beth, like, well, how long is it? Is it 38? Is it 38 pages? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's quite long, isn't it? Yeah.
The book itself is about 52. The first story is like 30 pages.
Right. So I mean, and I do remember me kind of like an idiot, because I thought, well, the last one, the Witch Tree, was kind of like this little. It was quite theatrical because it was just this one tree and stuff happening around it. It was quite sparse, and there wasn't too much going on beyond the dialogue and just these little bits happening. I kind of wanted this one to kind of move around and have a lot more action in it. So I ended up kind of scaling the story quite tightly, so it kind of rattled along quite quickly. But I found that is a crucial skill, I think, in any form of writing. Knowing how to scale a story, because it's what lends mass to a story is characters and scenes. So if you've got too many characters, you need to give them all something to do, and then suddenly you're adding on more scenes. So if you shrink down your characters to the absolute minimum that you need, you'll have more time to get to know them. You'll be able to do more with them. They'll be able to express themselves more, rather than having half a dozen characters that you've got to get across in 10 pages. And
you've got to establish them, haven't you? Yeah, definitely. Exactly. Yeah, it's really interesting, man.
You've really got to scale it properly, and it's something that I've learned over the years, is that, you know, pitching stories that you realise when you actually come to write it, you're like, oh my god, I've got to cut half of this out because I'm just not got room for it. Because, you know, if someone's speaking, you've got to have them all in the same shot, and then the artist hasn't got room to breathe. So it's always just kind of trying to pull it back as much as you possibly can. But going back to guys like Eisner, I think I'm sure this is why they just wanted more pages, because you can do more. You can say more. You can do more. You can.
He uses a lot of quiet pages as well, Eisner, doesn't he? He uses a lot of conversation, but a lot of like rain and buildings and alleyways and stuff. Yeah,
that's it. And I mean, it's stuff like that just builds atmosphere, and I think that's why I think horror is one of the hardest things to do in 2000 AD, because you don't have space. You have to be very, very clever in deploying atmosphere, because 2000 AD generally doesn't have space for it. It's just all about it's back to Andy Diggle's, you know, shot glass of rocket fuel. You've got to just keep moving. So yeah, and I think sort of working on longer form stuff, that's really borne out. I think I kind of really think that's true.
Well, speaking of longer forms, I don't know if you can hear this noise, but it's Vince desperate to ask you about Realm of the Damned.
No, do you know what? I was just looking at the cover of one of them. Then that was so strange you said that. Yeah. I mean, Realm of the Damned. I was thinking about this as we're talking about collaborating with artists and obviously having the longer form and stuff. And I think even when I think I recommended each of the books as I got, because I got the first volume at the 40th, didn't I, guys?
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. And then I just collected them as soon as they came out. But that was when I spoke about each of the books, I think every time it was one of those. You can see that you as a writer, as well as getting all the story and everything going in, you know the artist you're working with, and you're letting them play, and you're like, because there's pages in those books that I could have as a print on the wall, you know, or there's that real cinematic and epic scope to it, And do you find with that it's building up that collaboration before you know, and how much detail do you give an artist when you just say you want an epic scene of like someone walks into a cathedral? How much do you give them?
So what again? It kind of depends on the artist. I mean, like I've really got into the habit now of just trying to kind of go into a pitch with an artist, because then you kind of know what they like drawing and what their kind of interests and passions are and what they like doing. But I do think a lot of the time, I don't know if this is a controversial view or quite what, but I do think that there's certain media that are better suited to specific roles. So, for example, theatre is often regarded as the actor's medium, because that's where an actor can really flex their muscles and can really shine and can show the whole range of what they can do in terms of their body, in terms of just everything. And I think in film is definitely the director and the editor's medium. Novels are the writer's medium. You can it is all on you, right? It is all yours. But I think when it comes to comics, I adore comics, but I have to admit, I do think that it is really the artist medium. And I've always found that it is obviously I'm coming up with the story and I'm writing it and coming up with these characters, but I almost feel like I need to support the artist wherever possible, because it is really them who is doing all the heavy lifting. It is going to take them. I'm essentially doing half a job, really.
Yeah, it's easy being a writer, isn't it? It's the artist who put the real work in.
But it's just. I mean, really. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's bloody hard work writing, but it doesn't take as long as the art does. And in the time it takes an artist to do a whole graphic novel, I can have ploughed through 3 or 4 other comics projects. Do you know what I mean? Mm. Simply just in terms of the time it takes. But I think it's what you are really looking at. You're looking at my words, but you are seeing it through the art first. Mm. So what I will do is, I mean, when I was starting out, I made some terrible mistakes. Poor Mike Dowling. I mean, this stands out. A terrible thing I did with him once. We did a Thargs thriller back in the day. It was like an MR. It worked out really well. It was like an modern MR James type ghost story about these 3 guys. It was called Six Brothers, and it was about these 3 brothers who are all criminals, and they've broken into this place, stolen this cursed necklace, and then as they're coming home, they find out. For example, I think one of their wives says, "Oh, did you bring someone with you?" And the brother's saying, "Well, no." She goes, "Well, I saw someone walking behind you," and there's basically 3 extra people have followed them home from the job. Only 3 of them went in, and so there's these things that are haunting them. Anyway,
that's fucking brilliant. Sorry. Yeah. Fucking drop the mic. That's that, and I can see the MR James sort of influence there of that. Yeah.
It was sort of like MR James crime sort of thing. And so anyway, I kind of had these very sort of specific things I wanted to do with it. So I ended up drawing, because what I used to do is I used to literally thumbnail. I printed out like these kind of like 6-7 panels, and I would draw little thumbnail sketches into each one to make sure in my mind that it flowed properly. And I literally gave poor Mike Dowling scans of these things, said, "I want you to draw that." And God bless him, he did it, but he should have just said, "You can fuck off." But what I've learned since is that you really, I think as the writer, you do need to let go. You do need to trust your artist. Yep. And I'm at a stage now where I try and keep. So, for example, what I did with Beth is I will have character biographies. Not biographies, but character descriptions front and center on the front page. I will keep them separate from the rest of the script so they don't clutter up anything else. So it will say Beth, white, early 20s, late teens, Barbara Steele, blah, 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 blah. And I'll say what she looks like, how she stands, body language, that kind of, all the essentials. Same with Guido, same with any other characters in there. The setting, I'll put hyperlinks to reference. So now, when I'm doing the panel descriptions, they're not getting clogged up. I can just get straight to the...
Yeah, I do the same, actually. It's nice to have, it's almost like having a little Bible of stuff And it helps me, actually. It helps me remember people's names and shit like that as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm always I always feel like it's my job to give the artist everything they need, because it's difficult, because if you're working on 2000 AD, you might not know who your artist is, and so what you almost need to do is like give them a set of crystal clear, IKEA instructions, where it's just like they can just open it up and just know what's going on straight away. You do get some amusing things sometimes, little sort of cross-cultural misunderstandings. For example, I was working on Troll Hunters based on the DreamWorks TV show for Panini Germany, and the artist, lovely guy, Ingo Romling, is an absolute bloody genius. And I used the word, the kids are carrying torches as they're walking around the woods. And he
didn't draw goats, did he?
No, he literally drew like burning sticks.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I meant that. But the other, no, sorry, that wasn't the one. It was the one blowing raspberries. I had a gnome sitting on Toby's shoulder blowing raspberries in his ear, and he drew the gnome
lucky
with
raspberries
a raspberry in his hand. Yes, spitting raspberries in his. I don't understand this. This saying, what is this? Blowing raspberries. And I was like, oh yeah, it's not me. Go do that. He didn't know what I was on about. So it was. I think Al Ewing told me there was something that happened in one of his early Future Shocks. He said that because there is no room in a panel description for simile and metaphor. Don't put them in panel descriptions, because Al wrote the character trips and falls into space, and the artist literally drew them falling into space with like planets and the cosmos everywhere. And it's like,
that's
I don't
great.
understand. But it's Al Ewing, so it must make sense. And it's like, I was like, oh god, no. What I meant was open air. So yeah, you just got to be crystal clear. But what I will do as well in my descriptions is I'll put a lot of kind of emotional directions. So if I need the artist to get a certain feeling across, I'll sort of say Claire conflicted, or she's thinking about this, that, and the other, just so that the artist is on point with where the characters are. So even if I'm suggesting, I will tend not to suggest camera angles. I might sometimes go wide shot or establishing shot or close. If it's like if you really need to see the character's face, I will say close up, and then describe like, okay, what. But it's a lot of it is more like I'm telling them the story and just letting them do what they want with it.
I tend to say if we need to see three people in it for future panels, I'll say, we need to see these three people because it's going to play out further on. I tend to do that a bit.
I think there's also there's no reason why, if an artist isn't sure about something, why they can't say to the right, I just want to double check before I draw this. I think that sometimes that's lost on a few people, because obviously you don't want to feel like maybe you don't understand it, or you don't want to bother the person, especially in the world of small press and like indie publishing and stuff. It's you can just direct to them, sort of say, I just want to double check.
Ask. Yeah,
exactly. I think what a lot of artists will do with me now as well is they will show me just pencil layouts and just rough layouts, just so I can see.
Yeah.
And the thing is, no matter how many times I read through a script, and I will read it through until, just looking for every typo and every single thing, there will be something in there that I've completely cocked up. And it's like, oh shit, I didn't mean that at all. What I meant was this, and I haven't made that clear at all. So that again is when you know the artist well enough and they trust you well enough. Because I think a lot of artists, I've had experiences where I can sense that the artist is reluctant to show me anything because they think I'm going to be a prima donna and say, oh, I'm not really feeling this. Can you just redraw everything? And this poor sod's on a deadline. You know what I mean? So it's like it's making sure the artist.
Time is money for these guys, isn't it? That's the thing. And the editor's biting at it because he wants it to get to the letterer so he can get it published.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's just I'm always painfully aware the artist is the one that's going to be under way more pressure than I am, because they are going to need to get this out. And life happens, things happen, and jobs come up, and they've got to squeeze this in and all the rest of it. So it's understandable. There will be greater time pressures on them, and certainly the letterers as well. But especially like if the artist gets to sort of issue 12 and opening panel, 12,000 people steam over a hill on horseback.
I write that sort of stuff just to wind them up. I like it.
That's the point in which the artist will there was this bit I felt so bad. we did a Hookjaw with Lee Gallagher in Seattle, and there was a bit when we did the final reveal of Hookjaw, and Lee drew him with clothes on, and I was like, "Oh shit, mate, he hasn't got clothes on," and he was like, "Oh no, what you done? Oh, bloody hell!" And I was like, "Oh mate, Lee, I'm so sorry," and I said. And then he was going, "Oh mate, it's a total redraw. I can't just do this." So I said, "Okay." So I came up with a solution. I ended up buying him a 20 quid box of Cadbury caramels and getting them sent to his house. I felt so bad because he had to, and he was on a deadline at the time as well, and he was just like, "Oh." But yeah, I sorted him out. I basically gave him diabetes, I think, just by giving him sweets. So
Cadbury's caramels, always, that get you.
Yeah, totally. I think it's with Pie as well. I mean, there was this one creature. I think it was in the second book. I said, so the thing she's fighting is one creature, but it's made up of lots of people all strapped together. And he was just like, "That sounds great, but how the bloody hell am I supposed to make that move?" And it's just like, "I don't really know. I just thought it would look cool." And he's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Like, and it nearly killed him. It nearly killed him, I'm glad to say.
Good.
And that's saying something for some of the stuff that...
Art is pain.
There's some of the stuff that Pie's done in those books is unreal.
Yeah, it's just, like I say, it's just, you coming back, you're just trying to support the artists and give them room because they will surprise you, and it is a two-way thing. You come up with words, but I think you're really looking for like the springboard. Yeah. That's going to really kind of spark something in them, and they'll just come back with stuff that just absolutely surprises you. And like, bloody hell, that just looks 20 times better than I thought it would ever was in my head.
Yeah. What have you got coming up, Alec? Have you got anything? Are you doing another Black Beth, for example, or what? Much more for the prog? I
hope so. I mean, I'm working on another pitch for Durham Red at the moment, so hopefully you'll be working on that again. But that's just the pitch at the moment. I'm working on all. This is the annoying thing, like being a writer. I am working on stuff, but I can't say.
Yeah, it's like Watergate, isn't it?
Yeah. So all I can say is I'm working on a folk horror graphic novel, and that's all I can say.
Okay.
Cool. So I'm working on that one at the moment, and hopefully more Durham Red, lots more stuff for Warhammer, Black Library, and I mean, like that's going back to the whole difference between like comics writing and prose writing. Don't ever don't swan around telling people you're a graphic novelist when you're just a writer, mate. Be a novelist, write prose, because you don't know what you're chatting about. Seriously, because like you can't hide behind an artist when you're writing prose, because like this is all on you. Every single bit of heavy lifting is on you. As I say, it's like there's different mediums I think that kind of not favour, but perhaps, but just give a greater platform to certain disciplines. Maybe.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Dude, can we play a game we've played before, just quickly before? I know we're a bit, we're getting there. We've had you for a while now, but we do this game where one of us will name a character. I'm a bit worried here. Go on.
Go for it.
Digestive biscuits. No, it's not the one. I say a character, and the first artist that comes to mind, say. Yeah, we've done it before, and it's really interesting because it kind of gives us a little insight into who you see as the character, almost. Okay. So I'll give you three characters. First one, Batman.
Shit. What was his name? I think he passed away recently. Early 90s. Oh, shoot. He did stuff in the early 90s.
Did stuff with Alan Grant, did he maybe? Is that the one?
Yes. What's his name?
Making me blank on it now.
Right, go on to the next character. I'm going to see if the internet will help.
Okay.
Yeah, I know people are shouting at there. Okay.
It was all really sort of super simplified. It was kind of simplified, really atmospheric, and
Norm Brayfogle. Norm Brayfogle.
That's it. That's it.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
That's it.
Good. It came to me. Okay. Next one. Dread.
Do you know what? I might say Brian Bolland, but I think that's only because I've seen the same poxy panel 40,000 million times.
He's punching fear through the face.
I've been punching fear, so maybe that's it's kind of like, for God's sake.
There's no wrong answers. And
let me think. Either him or let me think. Just sort of think outside the box for a second. No, do you know what? I can't get Bolland out of my head now.
Let's do that one with Vincent. Vince, Dread.
I think It might be Carlos for me.
Yeah, I was going to say Carlos.
Purely because with Dredd, it's the jaw. It's the jaw. It's
so distinctive a style.
Whoever did the jawline that you remember is the Dredd that you know. And Carlos's Dredd had the way his mouth was on that.
Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah, I'd say that's a good shout. Carlos Guerra.
Okay. Yeah. And last one for you, Alec. Slain, which is an interesting one because there's
Bisley.
Yeah,
Bisley. Interesting.
Okay.
Right.
Bisley's mine.
Dermot Power was the later one because I got in. But Bisley was the one. I think the amazing thing with Bisley is that you often sort of think of him. Again, it's like you sort of think about sort of the myth of Bisley. You think, it's just this kind of super macho like Frazetta knockoff. Just look at the sensitivity in Horn God. There's so many just the little kind of abstract stuff he does, like when Slain is talking to the goddess, and there's just this leaf next to him, and just so beautifully rendered, and it's amazing, and just that his face, it doesn't look like a brute. He looks sensual. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Totally. Yeah.
And like when they have sex in the woods and all the little animals watch them. That's my favourite bit. It's a good bit. Yeah, I think Pat's got a book out in about a month or two about the history of Slain, which is going to be really interesting.
That'd be
obviously it's now ended. Yeah.
I think as well, the thing I loved about Bisley and Slain was it was almost like he would change styles on the same page. About three.
Yeah.
It's like you say, there'll be like the sort of Disney style at the end of that one, and then there'll be this, then there'll be Frazetta, then it would go to something else. And there was that. It was really appropriate to the strip because it just felt Protean. It was just always changing as it went through. It was just
It's definitely a character that's had ages. It's sort of it's like a Viking story, isn't it? That's what it is, and. You can say Ballard Nelly, and you can be as valid as if you say, Simon Davis. Really, it's such a difference sort of through the line there. Yeah.
Who would you say? I'll throw you one then. Conan.
Buscema.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate BWS, but I think Buscema's an interesting one because his ink has really affected who he looked like. I think sometimes. Yeah. Ernie Chan on Buscema. I'm going to say I really like that look. Yeah.
Who's the guy? Because I remember reading again, going back to my Fighting Fantasy game books. There was when I started reading like some of the Savage Sword of Conan, there were these just incredibly inked. Yeah. There was like these big splash pages of like Conan walking through a temple, and it really looked like Ian McCaig, who did the black and white art for a lot of the Death Trap Dungeon and.
Oh, okay.
Another guy.
I'm sure he must have got some sort of inspiration from some of those ones, but I don't know.
I think John Buscema was very, very light on layouts. I think his inkers did a lot of heavy lifting on some of his work. God bless him. But there's some those Savage Sword of Conan phone directories you can get with the black and white pages are fucking amazing.
Yeah, I've got those. I've got that. That's fantastic. Absolutely. Have you read the Jason Aaron ones?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Yeah, not all of it. I don't think he's quite the king of the Hellfire Club for me, but I think some of it's pretty good.
I think I've read like the first arc, and I've got to say, I do think that what's the miracle in those books is just that he manages to do great Conan, but he manages not to neuter him. It kind of gets what's great about him, but just also completely rides that line and makes it current as well. I thought he did a fantastic job on those.
Yeah, he was the best choice for it. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah,
Jason Aaron's got a brilliant concept, handle on especially his Thor run. With the God Butcher and stuff. Yeah, I mean,
that was terrific.
If that's not the comic that got him the Conan gig,
totally.
Yeah. Well, we wanted him to get Exo Man of War as well. That's the other gig that we were fighting for him to get. I think he'd be great on that. Imagine Conan the Barbarian in Iron Man armor. That's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my word!
Have you read his Scalped?
Love it. Absolutely love it.
That is something I don't know how he wrote that.
Because
it's just so phenomenally. It's like The Sopranos, like thing. It's
really
just,
is.
Because
fucking bleak as well. Oh my god.
It's just absolutely incredible. I mean, it just all comes down to character as well, and it's just literally you've just got a fairly small cast of characters, and they're so well drawn, and they all bounce off each other so well. It's just absolutely incredible.
And they're all multi-layered. There's no really bad guy. There's no really good guy. There's no good people at all. But It's just, I think just the logistics of stuff like that, because I mean, when you look at things like
I think this is something else with like modern comics, is that certainly in sort of later years, because comics have got to sort of stand up to things like TV, things like Breaking Bad and Sopranos and everything else. But those things have writers' rooms and they have a dozen people. After the time, you're a one-man band, and it's difficult to be able to equal what they're doing because we don't have the resources.
Don't give it. Look, after this chat, Alec, don't give us any of that nonsense, because we know you're one hell of a one-man band. Yeah. And this, I tell you what, we could talk to you for absolutely weeks.
I could go on. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Go on.
I mean, Black Beth is brilliant. We love it. And,
thank you.
I mean,
thank you.
Where can people sort of get it if they want to get their hands on a copy?
Shoplifting. I believe W.H. Smith's comic shops. I believe it is out in the States on the 21st of June, I think.
Oh, cool.
And I think from the 2000 AD web shop as well, and from the 2000 AD app, because they're not on Comixology yet.
Will they ever be? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a bit above my pay grade, but yeah, and there were previous ones as well that were all in the Scream Misty specials from 2018 and 20. I can't remember. Yes. But yeah, these, you can pick those up as well, I think, from sort of back issues and stuff.
Go for it and pick up Alec's work, because it's great. Yeah. We're fans anyway. And
thank you.
Definitely come back on, man. That was really interesting.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah,
we occasionally run a little craft series, so we'd love to get you back on for that as well, man.
Yeah, I'll totally get up to that. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I could bang on about that stuff for ages. I'm a real process nut, because I mean, it's like I suppose all writers, artists, we're all kind of self-taught, I guess, in a way. But I mean, I've always kind of constantly trying to sort of find easier ways, sort of more efficient ways of doing what I do. So I mean, I've just got reams and reams and reams.
I mean, we can tell you're a writer because you use words like protean actually in a sentence, and it made sense. I mean, obviously, social media aside, where can people, like website wise and stuff, where can people find more of your stuff?
I dwell on a mountaintop, surrounded by 4 winds and no Wi-Fi connect. Oh God, I wish. No, I'm on. So I've got my website, which is just alecworley.com. Oh God, I wish I could update it more often than I've got time for, but I just don't. There's a few blogs on there. I've got a few craft blogs on there as well. But really, the one place I'm reduced to now is Instagram, and I'm just on there as Mr. Alec Worley with a little Warhammer Grumpy Son on it. You can find me on there. I usually kind of post what I've got coming out or bits and pieces on there. So
nice.
Instagram's the place to be. That's where I'm happiest as well.
Yeah. Totally. I can't be dealing with Twitter
for the moment.
Facebook I go from ages ago. So
is there plans to fuck around with Instagram as well? And, like, make little videos.
Let's end on a high.
Let's not moan about
comics of joy. Go get Black Beth and Alec. You've been a legend, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I'm really, really, thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you so
much. Well, there you go, folks.
It's good.
That was good, wasn't it, eh?
We'll definitely have him back on.
Yeah. I mean, we could have kept talking for days. I know he said it in the interview, but there's so much comics to talk about with Alec. And thank you again, Alec, for joining us this week. I'm looking forward to seeing more of his work coming up.
Yeah.
And he writes Warhammer, so he obviously knows that.
People love Warhammer, don't they?
Warhammer that's heavy stuff to write.
Big.
I mean, because
there's a lot of backstory to that.
Hell of a lot of lore to that stuff.
I know that because I once walked in a Warhammer shop with my son, and the man went, "What kind of warrior are you?" And I went, "I'm going to leave now."
Did you put your thumbs up and go, "Sex warrior," and then moonwalk out of the shop?
You can marry those two up. Viz and did a strip called War Mallet. Do you ever read that one?
No.
And a dad goes in with his kid, and like the kid wants to buy like some wood elves and some like berserker marines, and like the shop walker says these two factions would never work together. They're from different time periods. The guy's like, just sell the fucking things. And the guy's like, oh, we have to get the manager. And then the manager comes and basically refuses the sale. And then it cuts to the outside of the shop, and it's like shut down with like boards over the window. War mallet.
Oh dear. Yeah. Hopefully we will get to work on seeing if we can get a Viz chat.
Yeah, man. I'd love that.
Yeah. We'll let Dan host that one. Shall we, Tony?
Oh, I love that. That'd be great.
Yeah. Because we joke about it, but Dan lights up like a Christmas tree when we talk about Viz.
He does.
Yeah, you're so generous giving us the annuals, Dan. And you've
pleasure.
You've converted me.
It ups the readership by 2.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're doing twice as good as any of our comics.
Dining out on us.
Yeah.
be that good person in the world that gets other people comics.
Exactly. That's a good thing.
Good.
I like to send comics to people. Spread the love.
Yes.
Yeah. God, maybe we should try. No,
it's Dan's birthday soon. I've sent him a comic.
Yes. Hey. I know that because I got it. I haven't opened it yet. We should do like at Christmas, the Secret Santa
on the Slack.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And because there's a lot of there's some sort of comic swap or something that we can do. Some sort of.
Yeah, they do it on other Slacks.
I've seen one thing I've seen a few sort of creators and artists do is have you seen this where creators will put together an issue of their comic or whatever or their zine and they'll put it somewhere in the world.
I have seen that, yeah.
Like so people can just get a free comic. If they see it, they can have it. And they just sort of hide it somewhere. Yeah. It's fascinating stuff, I think.
I might do it around my town centre. That's a good idea.
What, with the signed sort of like 8x10s of you?
No, I might just go around and distribute some copies of Viper around.
Do you know he just let that go, didn't he, Tony? He just.
Do you want me to send you some Horde Chronicles as well?
I ain't gonna give away the photos. That's the.
That's the gold.
That's the fucking gold. Also, that means they could track me down and chin me in the street, which is not high up on the list of things that want to happen.
Yeah. You need to take your addresses off those.
Oh, what, they have your face?
Yeah. Oh, well, it's not just the face, Tony.
No.
Yeah.
Cock and balls, too.
No. It's an 8x10. We ain't got that much real estate. Oh, dear.
Too excited this week.
We're too excited. Yeah. It's good. It's good. Speaking of good, do we have any shout-outs this week? We do, don't we? We've got a few.
Yes, I've got some. Shall I go first again?
Yes. Yeah, go.
Okay, so first off, Catfood Comics. 3 Titanic titles, a comic fantasy epic, character handbook, and Savage Simeon sketchbook, all in one bag. Back it. They're our buddies. It's Catfood Comics 3-pack. On Kickstarter. Go and do that. Next one. Do you fancy owning some Henry Flint 2000 AD inspired art? I know I do. Then for a small donation to the Mind mental health charity, you stand a very good chance. Just go to the Mega City Book Club on Twitter at MCBC Podcast, and you'll find the link and you can go and donate. And as long as you make sure your name's on it, then you'll go into the raffle to win. He's got quite a few bits of art, actually. I think he sent a piece back to Henry Flint to sign it or something, and then Henry Flint ended up sending him loads of pieces. That was very kind of him. So they're all up for a donation. Awesome. Sam Brett, he is a good kid, isn't he? Not only did he help me carry boxes into Nottingham Comic Con every year, but he's also a very good artist, up and coming artist. He's a good kid. He's not allowed to listen to this because we're too blue, but his dad listens, so you can tell him. He's busy drawing stuff so he can raise money to go to Tanzania and help out a charity that contributes to conservation out in the country. So for a worthy, and he's a good kid and he needs to go out there and help these people out. I think it's a good idea. Head over to nottinghamcomiccon.co.uk, nottinghamcomiccon.co.uk, and you can buy a sketch with a small donation or just donate. I think there's the alternative to do it. So go and do that as well. There you go. There were ones.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
My one is a notification of a upcoming Kickstarter from our pal Kev Cooling.
Yeah.
We've been chums with, we see him at seemingly every convention.
Yeah, I collaborated, didn't we, on him? We all worked on Tony Osmond together, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and he's got a Kickstarter coming up soon. Sugarcane Cyberpunk. It is it's an A5 sketchbook containing 38 original characters from the worlds of Sugarcane, which is a cyberpunk sort of tale that he's been developing. And a couple of years ago he did a prose sequential short Sugarcane prologue. So that should be. I mean, it says notify on launch, but I think it's going to be going live this week.
Anytime,
as we speak.
Yeah.
It's tonight, isn't it? It's just gone live, I think. Yeah.
And it's also got an A4 print by some
saucy man.
Some Dan Bouchard.
Dan Bouchard, that is me. Yes, I've been working.
You finished that today, didn't you?
I finished it today. Sign off today. Kev was on his way back from Holes, and he approved it en route.
Where was he?
Go. The might of the internet.
On Holes holiday.
Holly Bobs.
I don't want to give away the location.
Southend.
Blimey, you sound like a spy when you talk like that, Dan. I don't want to give away the location. But yes, there's going to be an A4 print by Dan Vanguard Butcher, which is going to be a freebie for the first few backers. So go forward.
I think it might be a time thing, so you've got to get in there quick.
So get on it. Just look up Sugarcane Cyberpunk on Kickstarter and check it out. So, Dan, have you got any?
No, that was mine.
There you go, beautiful.
You did it for me. No. Otherwise, we could be accused of
a bit lazy, but that's right.
Yeah, a bit lazy. I'll shout about it next week. Then it looks like.
Oh, it looks
like.
It looks like we care.
Or we've organised in any way, shape, or form.
We never do that. We never do that. I mean, that the whole beautiful mystery of this show is no one ever knows what is organised and what's not. And,
the effort that goes into this show.
Yeah, and it shows. Speaking of which, it's time to recommend some comics to some people. Who wants to go first this week?
Well, we're going to double team, aren't we? We're going to double up.
Should we start with it? It's an honourable mention, isn't it?
Yeah. So we both read this week Fight Girls by Frank Cho and Sabine Rich, which is Frank Cho's new 5-part series out of AWA Upshot, which is their sort of adulty type stuff, isn't it? Is that right? I'm thinking.
It feels like that, yeah. Although this doesn't really scream of being an adult book.
No, so the sexy ladies, but there's no overt nudity, and it's quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you want to say what the story is about, Mr. V?
There you go. Just throwing it over to me.
Okay.
No, Fight Girls. I mean, obviously, by it's not just Frank himself. Is it a couple of them? Coloured by Sabine Rich.
Yeah.
Basically 10 hard as nails women face off in an ancient contest of champions where the winner truly takes all. The title of Queen of the Galaxy. That's I love a title. To win the challenge, each contestant must survive the hazards of the planet's harsh landscape, the ferocious predators on and below its surface, and their fellow contestants. And I'm not going to say any more than that because, as always, the synopsis gives a little bit about the story, which was a complete surprise to me because I went and reading this because I follow Frank on Instagram.
That's why I did it.
Yeah. I love him as a creator, and he's been showing some process stuff.
I read it because it's Frank Cho, sexy ladies, jungle, and dinosaurs. That's all I ever want of Frank Cho. Yeah. And also, he is an ultimate baller, I believe the phrase is, because all this week he's been doing pictures of himself with sexy ladies dressed up as the characters from this comic.
Well, did he
one of them? He's in a hot tub.
Yeah, doing a show appearance in the shop the next day, and they were going to dress up as the characters, and he was in the hot tub the evening before with both of them.
He's a genius.
What can you say about that?
That's just I told them I'm Jackie Chan's son.
Yeah. The smile on his face says it looks like I'm getting away with something. Yeah, I'm totally getting
grinning like a Cheshire cat.
Yeah, this is a very it's a simple book. It's a simple setup and a simple book, and it speaks to me of classic. I think when we talked about it initially, Tony, I was like, it's like a 70s sort of sci-fi film. That sort of setup. Very much. People will always do the shortcut. Oh, it's like Battle Royale or Hunger Games or things like that, or Running Man, or it's that bunch of people dropped into a place and the last one to survive wins the prize sort of thing. But there's obviously more going on to it. But this issue is very simple on its surface. I think I'm looking forward to how it's going to develop in the next couple of issues.
It's a simple start, but they add the last pages. Someone's added, and then there's in the middle of it. There's a couple of extra men who are added to the mix who are going to complicate matters. Yeah. Did you read it guided view?
Yeah.
I read it initially guided view. Then I bought a real copy of it in Gosh yesterday. But I did find the guided view made me realise that quite a few of the ladies' faces were very similar.
Yeah, the guided does have a little same face.
The guided view. Yeah. Because there's a page that because there's 10 challenges for this.
Like scorecards, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of thing,
so it's introduction. Number 1 is this person from this colony, or number 2 is this. And I was going through. Oh yeah, cool. hold on, number 7 looks like number 6. There was a
yeah, that's what I got. 8, 9, and 10 look virtually the same. Which is okay because some of them are going to die off quite early, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So to me, it's I look at a list 10 women like this and I immediately list who I'd have sex with first. I think that's the way I do it. Probably 7, 1, 2. That's where I'd go with that. To be fair.
God,
Vince, you want to weigh in?
I'm not weighing in on that.
Okay.
Not even first. Who would you do last?
Do you know what I love about that? It is the genuine seriousness of which you actually.
We're joking,
yeah,
everyone. Yeah, there you go. But it's worth a look. It's good. Either get it in singles, get it in the trade. Probably be quite fun, I reckon, to read as well. But it's a nice comic. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
You know, I think if it's a trade, it's going to be a very quick read. For this sort of pulpy content, I mean, we mentioned Roger Corman earlier. There's something Corman-esque about the setup of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
a high concept.
Yeah, simple but high. Yeah, but it's all right. Yeah, good.
Yeah, the cover's a bit. Obviously the artwork
looks like the Olympics. The cover, which I thought was funny. Bearing in mind we're a few weeks away from the Olympics, aren't we?
Yeah.
I picked that. Well, almost. I think I did, or nearly did pick that cover for my cover choices. I think you did too, didn't you? I don't think.
Yes.
I think it's a bit of a simple cover. I think I kind of know that's what he's going for, but
yeah.
Bearing in mind the interiors with the dinosaurs is absolutely beautifully and complicated rendered and stuff.
Yeah, Frank Choder's dinosaurs, and anyone that's seen him draw dinosaurs knows that dude can fucking draw dinosaurs.
Yeah.
When we do our weekly cover picks, I notice me and Vince tend to go more towards the kind of graphic design-y covers.
Yeah, we've said that because you two are graphic designers. I tend to go for more sort of that's a little bit more old school, I suppose. You know?
Fair play. I just find some of the ones where they do like team pinouts and like it's just a bit of a nothing that.
Yeah, the ones that have just come out of the back. Oh, we need a cover for this. What have we got? I've got this by Alex Ross. Doesn't tend to tick my box, to be fair.
Yeah. Or if you marvel, they just won't put the cover on there, wouldn't
you? All right, bitter old bloke.
In my day.
You had the covers uploaded by 9 a.m.
Plenty of time. Yeah. Okay, do you want to go next, D?
Yeah, I took a punt on a manga.
I saw this.
Called I Am a Hero. I found it absolutely fascinating.
You put this in the Slack, didn't you?
Yeah, I've really found it a fascinating read. It deals with the story of this guy called Hideo Suzuki, who's like a 35-year-old manga assistant artist. And this great big volume, half of it basically just details his life leading up to this kind of like zombie outbreak kind of deal. And he draws... It's just an absolute insight into the life of someone. I know it's a fictionalized event, but I feel like a lot of these scenes are real. Like they go into these Japanese offices and rooms where everything's so compact and crushed in around them, and they're drawing from like 11 in the morning to 11 at night, and they're getting food in, and he's beating himself up about how no one seems to like his manga and how seriously he takes it, and he's got a girlfriend who. His previous boyfriend is a really successful manga artist, and he's like, I never want to read that guy's stuff. And when she's gone to sleep, he reads it, and he's like, oh, fucking hell, it's brilliant, and beats himself up. But he's a real unlikable character they've crafted, and it's on purpose. He's kind of not slightly... he sort of hallucinates and sees like this little man cartoon character that he talks to, and he's talking to him, and then someone in his studio says, oh, you shut up. You're talking to yourself again. And then he realised that he's not been talking to anyone. He's just been sitting there drawing and speaking aloud. And in the background of this life, as you see him, like with his girlfriend, he cheats on his girlfriend. Him and his mates go out drinking. He does all this other stuff. But like in Shaun of the Dead, you get these things littered in the background where these incidents start happening, where people are getting bitten, someone starts acting crazy. And like they say, I saw someone get knocked down. He sees someone get knocked down, and then she walks off. And so that's really fucking weird. And it comes to a head where he goes around to see his girlfriend. I won't give it all away, but he's looking through the fisheye lens on the door, and you get 4 double-page spreads of this wide angle of like his girlfriend's apartment. It's all dark and blackened, and she comes rolling off the bed and moves towards the fisheye lens, and it's fucking brilliant. It's so well done. It's real creepy, and like we were talking before, that time to kind of give stuff to breathe. if you'd have done this on the panels on the page, it wouldn't have half the impact, because she kind of approaches this fisheye lens of the door with her head bowed so you can't see her face, and only does it when she sort of brings it up at the last minute. It's absolutely deranged.
Right, yeah, sounds good.
They're not like the Romero zombies. They kind of retain a slight bit of their intellect, and they're just a bit fucked up and demented, and they want to do is bite people, which carries on the infection. And this is an omnibus one. It holds the first 2 books of the story. In the first book, it ends with like his girlfriend's attacking him when she's infected, and then it goes from there. I don't want to spoil it if you want to read on, but I found it really interesting. It's interesting. The character is such a dickbag. He's really unlikable. I'm not sure where the I'm a Hero title of it. He comes up with his own manga and he pitches it in the first book to the publisher, and the editor gives him feedback saying, like, the problem is with your books is the protagonist, the hero, isn't really the hero. They're very passive. They don't seem to do very much. Right. And I think that's echoed in the book with the main character. So it's a kind of like, he's not your typical, he is the hero of the book, but he's not really a typical hero. He's like an ordinary bloke that it just kind of caught up in this, and he's not some kind of action hero who knows what the fuck he's doing straight away. He's a bit of a mess, and it'd be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah,
I think it's something I'd want to read. I don't want to get all the books for, but if there was like a subscription service I could buy and read it over a couple of weeks, that's what I'd plump for.
Okay.
So
yeah, sounds good.
I found it an interesting read. I'll try and do a quick scan of those double-page spreads so you can see.
Yeah.
What it's like.
Nice.
Should I say who that's written by? It's all done by one guy, Kengo Hanazou. It's got published in 2009 to 2017, so it's going a long old time.
Wow. Bloody hell.
And when you see the artwork, it's like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Some of like the city streets and the interiors are just absolutely jammed up with like little details.
Yeah. Who
go
wants
for
to
it
go next?
Shall I go?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Mangoat and Bunnyman, issue 1 of 3. The Bunnyman's called Floyd. Written by Joe Bruscia, Ralph Tedisco, Dave Franchini, art by Guillermo Fajada, colours by Ulysses Areola. Really? Letters by Taylor Esposito. Published by Xenoscope, 36 pages full colour. Mangoat is a heroic dude with a goat's face. He's great with the lady. He's an all-round sort of modern hero type, except he's got a weird sort of goat's face. He does a bit of shagging. Bunnyman is the son of the Easter Bunny, doesn't wear clothes, and flies into crazy, violent, blackout rage, attacks, and often wakes up covered in blood, full of worry and regret. He wields an axe because he says that's the only weapon that his paws can carry. And when he's not being a sort of violent bunny, he's full of anxiety and tends to shit himself an awful lot at the smallest thing. Like he bangs on a window and a woman looks at him and he shits his pants in it. Well, he doesn't wear pants because he's naked. It starts with the pair absolutely eviscerating this sort of gang. There's axes, there's guts and blood and everything all over the place. And Floyd, the bunny, comes to from his rage and is drenched in blood and is just like, oh, I did it again, didn't I? And it's like that. They go back for a rest from the adventure, and Goatman shags this human lady who comes over, and Bunny gives his hair a shampoo with this new shampoo he's got, and he stands in front of the mirror. So he goes from being like just absolutely crazy to being this sort of really naive character who just looks like a fluffy bunny. He's really cool. Turns out there's something else going on. There's a group of Satanists who are kidnapping women in the woods, and a team of, like high-tech hunters who are hunting these cryptoids, who they, as a sort of hobby sort of thing. And our heroes go into the woods to tell Bigfoot that he's been spotted on telly once again. So they go back to Bigfoot's place, and Bigfoot has got like a widescreen telly and all this sort of thing, and he collects butterflies, but he's a bit of a drongo. And it's a 3-issue series, and it's just brilliant fun. I bought it utterly because of the title. I bought it digitally, and it's just huge amounts of fun. I think we often ignore Xenoscope, don't we? Because we kind of think they're sort of TNA title, bit, really, don't we? But this is just really good. This is like better than Big Two, better than Image books. I don't know why people aren't paying attention to it. It's super violent. There's a dose of the sexy. The art is detailed, fun. The artist utterly knows what he's doing. There's a lot of horror, there's a lot of comedy in it, but it's very well balanced. And there's a big humanoid rabbit who keeps shitting himself everywhere, and keeps getting upset because people think he's a cosplayer, which just ticked all my boxes. So yeah, it's very good. So it's called Mangoat and Bunnyman. I don't think it's full price. I think it's like £1.79 or something like that on the Comixology, but it's really fun. I want to get a trade of it when it's finished. So I might have a look in Diamond to see if it's available soon. But yeah, really good. That's my one.
Nice. And just another quick one to finish this off for this week.
Easy.
Yeah. And it is from our old pal Stuart Mulrain. It's a short, sharp, almost a creep show, Tales from the Crypt like tale called Roadkill, which we haven't.
Yeah, I bet this.
I think this is.
Is
this on Comic House?
Yeah, it's on Comic House, isn't it? Yeah,
it's on Comic House now. Don't want to say too much about it, but it's a great sort of little sting in its tail, no pun intended, about a guy who's a bit of an asshole driving home at night, and then he hits something in the road, and that's all I'm going to say, because this is great. I think Stuart's, every time Stuart does a piece of work, you can see the development, can't you? And like, especially with the narrative in this, it's just great stuff. I love it. It's quite gruesome. He stepped into the world of Gru, which is quite nice.
Nice.
Lovely designed book as well, with the best pull quote ever on the back, which is just, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and
that's, isn't it?
That's Stuart's wife.
Yeah.
So, yes, check out. I think Token Nerd on Twitter, if I believe. And like I say, on Comic House, Roadkill it's a very short, sharp, and it'll just make you smile. Little tale, great stuff.
And I see he's just posted the Nerds Who Fought It Themselves have got 4P on as a guest this week, so have a listen to that.
Nice. So there you go, folks. Lots of wonderful comics to check out. Comic chat this week. We had fun, but as always, when we have too much fun, we go off and have a little nap afterwards, don't we?
Yeah,
because we're old.
Treat ourselves.
We treat ourselves, and should you want to get in touch with us, you should treat us by getting in contact.
Hell yeah.
And there's several different ways you can do it. You can email us, awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter @theawesomepod, where we'll be posting about upcoming guests or retweeting good comic content that will just make you smile, because that's what we need more of these days. And if you do the Book of Faces, go to facebook.com/awesomecomicspodcast. Join our Facebook group, Awesome Comics Talk, which is a wonderful community of people that just want to talk about comics and make comics, etc. There's also a Slack chat, which if people want to get involved in that, how do they do that, guys?
Just contact one of us, we'll give you the link.
Yeah,
find us wherever you find us.
There you go. And that is just lots of different conversations. It's all about comics. There's some art threads, and there's all kinds of stuff.
The art threads have been great today. Yeah, loads of stuff. There's a Winnie the Pooh homage gone up today, which made me laugh.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, that's all the rage at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to us. It never went away, Tony. Which is why you should probably go see a doctor. Thank you for listening to us, whether it was on the website awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, I can't get words out. I don't know why. It's that strong squash. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe and leave a review. It really does help support the show, and it helps get the word out about this show and the wonderful creators and their comics that we talk about every week. If you listen to us on other networks like Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife, oh God, what other networks are we on, Tony?
We're on the Sea Life. There's a conservation centre up in Scotland that produces clothes for sale, and we're on the pod Sea Lions on a shirt.
Don't encourage him, Dan. But we will.
Tragedy has struck.
No, I tell you what.
On a cliffhanger.
Right, I'm going to kick you off this call. Where can people find us online?
Avian slab at the ready.
Where can people find anyone else but Dan Butcher online? Tony?
You can find me on Patreon.com/Tribute Press.
Go check them out because you get some great comics content if you go there.
Yep. New comic starts tomorrow or today.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, it's a perfect time to jump on board. And because I think you get access to all of the old content as well.
You can look at all the old comics we put on there, all the audio files, all the podcasts.
Seriously, folks, there's tons of stuff, just like there is on Dan Butcher's Patreon.
Yes.
Where can people find you, Dan?
You can find me on Twitter at Vanguard Comic, and you can read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com.
And back Dan's Patreon as well.
Yes, I as in the Viper stuff's kind of like going through the work at the moment. There should be stuff popping up there anytime soon.
There's a scheduled one just come out while we've been talking.
Seriously, these guys put so many Patreon posts that I have to double check. I think, is that more spam? Oh no, it's actually quality comic content. You know, it's it's quality stuff. So go follow them and follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Jester Diablo. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you to our guest Alec for joining us again this week. It was a fun one, and we hope you enjoyed it as well. Wherever you are in the world, we hope you're happy, healthy, doing well, reading lots of comics, making lots of comics, and genuinely, what are you playing about with?
Oh, sorry, I just pulled some pages out of my notebook.
Is that what you call it?
It wasn't a zip undoing or anything.
Oh, I was about to say.
That's been out for a while.
Yeah, it's never been up.
Much like our listening numbers. I'm only joking. Thank you to everyone that listens to this show. And if you're new to this show, there's plenty more great stuff to come in the weeks ahead. So from Dan, Tony, and myself, we love you. Don't we, Tony?
No.
Oh, that's my new challenge for the end of the year. I get him to admit it. Entrapment, I think they call it. You
honey trap. You're a honey trap.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, speaking of honey, you love them though, don't you, Dan?
Yeah, of course I do.
There you go.
Yeah, nobody believes you.
Have you seen Dan Butcher? Why wouldn't you believe him?
What a hunk.
What a hunk. I've got my 8 by 10 in front of me now. So we'll bid you...
Me too. In my hand.
And on that note where Dan doesn't know quite what to say, have a brilliant week, read loads of comics. And as always, what do they do, guys?
Stay awesome.
See ya.
See ya.
Look at Roger Corman presents Death Sport Games 1. I'll have to read that.
Oh, I like that movie.
Yeah. Comic House.
You don't hear creaming your pants anymore, do you, as a phrase? It's quite like that.
It's jizz these days.
Yeah.